Welcome everyone to the review of By Blood Alone, the currently latest DLC to Hearts of Iron 4. This DLC features a new focus tree for the fiercely neutral Switzerland, the conquered Ethiopia, and replaces the pathetic Italian focus tree as well with a new and superior one. It also allows nations to embargo others and design their own airplanes, but let's get into the good stuff, the focuses first. Historically, Emperor Haile Selassie fled the country during the Italian invasion to address the League of Nations to perhaps seize the Italian aggression. You can also do this by forming a government in exile in either the UK, German Reich, Sweden or Japan. Then you can address the League of Nations, and if you survive long enough, get most countries that matter to embargo Italy, close the Suez for Italian vessels, even receive some volunteers, and ultimately sign a white peace with Italy. And let me tell you, getting those volunteers is a huge help. Like, you do have some divisions, but one, the Italian units are superior, and two, to get like twice the number you already have from foreign countries nonetheless is a huge help. The historical route, in my opinion, is only fun if you can hold the fronts, otherwise you just sit and watch as resistance grows and address the other nations every now and then. There's some flavor to it, such as spending your wealth to throw parties to get legitimacy, because what else would you do when your country is conquered? And doing continuous focuses to grow resistance until the UK liberates Ethiopia in 1939, but still it's mostly watching resistance grow. What is more interesting than watching resistance grow is the alt history routes. Like, what if the emperor didn't leave Ethiopia behind but stayed with his people? Well, he can declare himself King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the elect of God. And after that just demand that fucking Cuba, Haiti and the Dominican Republic bow down to him. So I feel like this is more of a meme path than a true alt history one. Or you could abandon all hope and surrender to Italy, becoming their puppet. You can then undermine your overlord and break free eventually, that's pretty much it. You eventually break free and then can fight Italy again, in which case you can join the Allies even if you are still fascist. That's it. Or you could have a communist coup fairly early on and align yourself with the Soviet Union, receiving much aid from them, and ultimately either join the Comintern by will or by force. If you choose the latter, you can break free, but you will have to risk war with the Soviets. Although it's not like Spain, where the Soviets just feel like annexing the eastern quarter of your country. Italy has been the one major with some garbage little focus tree for some time, and now they have a large glorious tree as well. Well, the German tree would need some reforms, but the Italian one was still worse than the current German tree. At least the German tree has some alt history, whereas the Italian one didn't have any. If you don't do so well in Ethiopia, you can go down the communist tree, which involves a civil war. I mean, you can choose this path regardless of how the Ethiopian conquest is going, but you can only save Gramsci if it's not going so well. I don't see much reason going down on this branch except for the achievement where you make Gramsci your leader, or I guess if you don't want to become a democratic Italy under the Monarchia d'Italia branch, but this one, I guess. As its name suggests, you go down the Cult of the Duce, which basically means buffing the hell out of Mussolini and doing his missions. He likes to give out missions every now and then, which when you complete, you get a bit more stability, a bit more war support and such. I really mean a bit, it's usually like 2 or 3%. And of course you have Mussolini's ambitions to reform the Roman Empire, and there are some focuses for that under Mare Nostrum, but obviously don't expect it to be a cakewalk now. Before you pick your path, if you do well in Ethiopia, you can get an agency for free and get some focuses to pacify Ethiopia under your rule. and if you don't defeat them quickly enough, they'll form a government in exile in the United Kingdom, at least on historical, and thus you'll remain at war during the entirety of the game. If you go over to your foreign policy, you can gobble up Albania as usual, then release them as a puppet and apply the colonial police occupation law to them and stuff. And if you go over to your decisions, you can pressure Yugoslavia to give you Montenegro as a puppet, and even to become entirely subservient to you, which they fairly often agree to. Also, if you feel like Italo Balbo or Dino Grandi would have been better leaders for Italy, you can put them in charge as well, but you do have to depose Mussolini for that first. Speaking of deposing Mussolini, this is the monarchist path, in which you put Vittorio Emanuele III in power, whose portrait was 5 times better before this DLC, by the way. You can either keep him in charge or become democratic, as I mentioned earlier. As in the communist path, you can make it democratic Italy here as well, so choose your democratic Italy version, I guess. There's also a secret papal path if you can shift the balance of power in His Holiness's favor enough. You'll get a tiny branch consisting of a few focuses, only accessible by the Pope, and you can get things like offensive war stability penalty plus 50% and justify war goal time minus 25%, so the Pope can essentially become a warmonger. Before I begin diving in the Swiss focus tree, see this? You'll have to have a fuck ton of it to do stuff. Anyway, as Switzerland, your balance of power starts with the cantons having all the power. The balance of power essentially dictates which branch you can go down, kinda. If you dare withhold the power from the cantons, you can't make your army better, and if you don't, you can do much, but stay neutral as much as you can. If you can't keep Italy, France and the German Reich appeased via these decisions, then they'll no longer consider you neutral and just declare war for taking sides, I guess. If you go to the left, you can join the Allies as expected, or conclude a secret path and eventually join them. Or even you could have your own Helvetian Anschluss and form the Alpine Confederation, with additional land from Italy and France if they are so kind as to grant them to you. Which Italy probably won't, but France maybe. Down in the middle, you have your citizen militias, which have a bunch of decisions to increase their readiness. Really, it's copious amounts of decisions. For whatever damn reason, you can only do these military focuses if your balance of power favors the cantons. If you can professionalize your army, those decisions won't suck up your political power and all your subpar citizen militia divisions. But still, why does the balance of power have to favor the cantons to make your army better? Also, if you can professionalize your citizen militias, you won't have to deal with this damn national spirit anymore. Going to the right means, you guessed it, becoming fascist. That's pretty much the only purpose the right side has. There is no communist or non-aligned branch. Although you do have among the tons of advisors who give you communist or non-aligned support. Anyway, this branch you get more and more fascism support, obviously, and soon enough abandon neutrality, by which point France will probably declare war on you if you didn't keep them appeased. But Switzerland consists mostly of mountain tiles, so not that big of a problem, honestly. You will eventually join the Axis, and if you are at peace, you can choose to become a Reichskommissariat of the German Reich. After that, you might be granted Austria and some territories from conquered France. You can ultimately become the Alpine supremacy and get cores on everything that's been granted to you, but it's a shame that you can only ask for land if you're a puppet. Now let's talk about some of the other stuff that aren't focuses. So Paradox removed the logo from Steam. Why? While I do like the balance of power, I don't like that, for example, if you want to get the Pope, you have to wait a year to do some decisions to move the balance of power, and there is nothing you can do to move it until those decisions show up. And also, why the hell can I only make the army of Switzerland not garbage if the balance of power doesn't favor the cantons? I know it's the third time I bring this up, but why can't non-historical Switzerland have a decent army? So lots of new states were created, mostly in Ethiopia, but they have no names. Just something like state underscore 848. I asked on Reddit and apparently it's only happening for me, maybe I need to reinstall Hoi4. I don't really care much about the ship designer, a bit more, but still not much about the tank designer, and same goes for the plane designer. It's nice to have, but I'm not gonna use it much. By the way, now it's impossible to tell what a strategic bomber is when looking at the research tree, so let me save you some headaches. Research the basic large airframe and bombs, design them together, put it on strategic bombing, and you can drop them nukes. There's a new bug I encountered a few times that fucked up my current campaign, so the game crashed as it does sometimes, and when I reloaded the save, every single country was democratic, sometimes with no leaders, and I never seen this glitch before this DLC. Now nations can embargo each other. I feel 100 political power is a bit too much for embargoing, mostly because you can trade from lots of countries, so not having one country as a trade partner isn't that big of a deal. I haven't embargoed anyone a single time by direct diplomacy, only when focuses or events offer embargoing someone, but still it's nice to have. The music added in this DLC is great as always. Of course, the pre-order bonus Bella Ciao is much more of a banger than the others. And also, if you play as Italy, it auto-plays when the Italian civil war happens after the capture of Rome. By Blood Alone also added some juicy achievements like having 24 states as Switzerland or taking Moscow with the warmonger Pope. There are also easy ones like taking Austria as Italy and waiting until 1945, and flipping communist as Italy with Gramsci's leadership. So there are some quite easy and some Siberian Tiger level achievements which will be fun and tedious to do. So in conclusion, by Blood Alone adds some mechanics and 3 quite fun focus trees. I very much enjoyed getting Papa Pio the 12th leading Italy, becoming the Alpine supremacy and holding against Italy's attacks as Ethiopia. The new mechanics will most certainly be hard to grasp even for more experienced players for a bit. Also the copious amounts of decisions Switzerland now has. But when they do, I hope they realize how detailed this DLC is, like I did. And also, I don't think the new peace deals are that bad. Obviously, when a country gets puppeted 3 times is quite the stupid thing, but still, it's not that bad. So, Hearts of Iron 4 by Blood Alone gets an 82 out of 100 from me. Could be better, like by actually naming the new states Paradox, but what we have is mostly a damn fine addition. If you found this video helpful and fun, comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye everyone!